Hey, how you doing? Bob Oakes here for the Gilly Glue. How's it going today? Boy, that's a warm day here in Ontario this week. Humidex about 35 Celsius today. Working away in the shop doing a few things. I got a feeder I got to fix up for a customer. Lid kind of busted up. She's had it 6 or 7 years, and the lid split on it, so I'm gonna fix that up for her. But I was just thinking about perspective and a few things out here in the garage, and thinking about habitat creation and a few of the stories that have been going on lately. You know, the one in particular that's been fairly large, and we commented about it, talked about it, is spraying of wild parsnip and stuff. And, you know, how that may or may not be the right thing. I don't know, I'm kind of anti-spray anything, but anyway. Oh, there's not too much wind noise there. Just kind of nice little breeze out in the back here, but I just wanted to go out to our patch and kind of show you how, oh, look at the grackles. You have grackles at your place? And how I did a talk, two talks recently, and one was for a friend of mine. It's kind of a mindset group that he has going, and we talked about connecting with nature and the spiritual side of that, and how it can be good for you, and how you need to believe, and all those kinds of things, and how being out in nature, because we're part of nature. And so that led me to start thinking about a talk I did for a horticultural society not too long ago, where there's the patch, where I talked about prepping your garden and planning your garden for either this fall or next spring or whatever, on what you can support with the habitat that you're creating, as opposed to a beautification project that doesn't have that intent. And so that got me thinking about the patch here and how it survived the flood, because basically this front section here, you can kind of see we had about a foot of water over about half of that. In fact, if you look over there, there's some remnants of some sandbags that didn't get removed. There's about 150 of them there too, which is 150 too many. But start to think about the habitat that you're creating, and the biodiversity that you're creating by getting one of these patches and doing some wild grasses and some wildflowers. I was in Arnborough this morning, and I was speaking with a real nice lady at one of the hardware stores there. She loves birding and what have you, and we're talking about the Gilly Glue, and we were talking about the biodiversity that they're trying to incorporate into agriculture, where they have very large fields. For instance, you know, my mom's family farm that we kind of grew up on and were around, it was a very small farm in comparison to the large farms of today. You know, we had a 100-acre farm with maybe maximum a 25-acre field, whereas today most fields are at least 100, 200-acre fields that a farmer might be working 1,500 acres, let's say, along with dairy and everything else, perhaps. But inside of those large fields, we're starting to find that if you incorporate a no-till zone in that area, there's a monarch butterfly, and you utilize nature as it is, your yields can be higher, your input costs can be lower, your fertilizer use can be less because pollination is greater, and then you're providing an area for nesting birds and insects and things to live in harmony with. And they're starting to discover that and work that more into agriculture. So I'm thinking, when we get talking about the biodiversity of our yards, people spend a lot of time manicuring their yards, and as that is amazing and the places look fantastic. But in terms of habitat, what is it that we've created? Have we created any habitat at all, or have we created what a lot of scientists, the environmentalist scientists, talk about yards as being lawns, particularly being a desert? You may have heard me talk about that before, because there's no biodiversity there. It doesn't support anything. And in often cases, as you've heard me say before, it doesn't do very well, and we spray for weeds and reseed, and then 2-3 years later repeat the process over and over and over again. And I'm thinking, when I'm looking at my lawn here, it mostly looks burnt, and it's actually dust coming off of it. But then when we look over here, look how lush and green this place is. My way of thinking, actually, is that I would rather have all of this, maybe a pathway through it or whatever, all the way over there. bird bath in the middle of it, plant some trees, a sitting area even, whatever. I think that I would love to have this go all the way across my yard, and then I wouldn't have to mow it. I wouldn't have to look after it. I would just have to look at it. Anyway, I really think it's something to think about. I think it's something that we can change perspective. We can change the way we think about things. And when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Have yourself a great day, and talk to you soon.